So in the previous video we saw that there are many ways that one can represent a delta function, and among them one is delta x is equals to 2 pi 1 over 2 pi integration from minus infinity to plus infinity e to the power I k x dk. So among the representations of the delta functions that we saw in the previous video, this one is very important. So to prove this, we have to check two things: that at x equals to 0 it has an infinite value and 0 otherwise, and the second one is the area under the curve is unity. So in order to evaluate this integral, we have to introduce a regularization factor e to the power minus kx. Okay, so integration from minus infinity to plus infinity e to the power I k x dx is equals to, you can write it like this by breaking this limit of the integration into two parts. Integration from minus infinity to 0 e to the power I k x dx, then plus 0 to infinity to the power I k x it is dk. Now again, this first term you could write it like this: integration 0 to infinity e to the power minus I k x dk, by replacing k with minus k. Again plus the second term as it is, e to the power I k x dk. Okay, so it will be 0 to infinity e to the power I k x plus e to the power minus I k x dk. Now let's introduce our regularization factor. So you can argue that limit epsilon tends to 0 e to the power minus k epsilon will attain a value 1. So you can multiply it with this expression. It will not affect this integration. So let's introduce this factor: limit epsilon tends to 0 integration from 0 to infinity e to the power I k x plus e to the power minus I k x and e to the power minus I k epsilon dk. Now multiply it: limit epsilon tends to 0 integration 0 to infinity e to the power I k x plus I epsilon. So I am taking this factor common, that is I k. So you can write x plus I sigma in the parenthesis. And also for the second case, e to the power minus I k, if you take this term minus I k common, then you can write x minus I epsilon dk. So now if you integrate this integrand, then you will have limit epsilon tends to 0 e to the power I k x plus I epsilon divided by x plus I epsilon, I times x plus I epsilon, plus e to the power minus I k x minus I epsilon by minus I x minus I epsilon. Okay, and the limit is from 0 to infinity. Now we have to so put this lower and upper limit. So for the upper limit, so if you put this upper limit infinity, then you will find that for any epsilon tends to epsilon greater than 0, e to the power minus k epsilon goes to 0 as k tends to infinity. So for any epsilon greater than 0, e to the power minus k epsilon will reach 0 as k tends to infinity. So if you put k equals to infinity in this expression, it will give you 0, and also for the second case. But for the lower limit, if you put k equals to 0, you will have minus 1 over I x plus I epsilon minus 1 over minus I x minus I epsilon. Okay, so we have limit epsilon tends to 0 I by x plus I epsilon minus I by x minus I epsilon, which is equals to limit epsilon tends to 0 to epsilon by x square plus epsilon square. So now this function, that is 2 epsilon by x square plus epsilon square, will take the value 0 when x not equals to 0, and it will take infinity when x equals to 0 in the limit epsilon tends to 0. So which is also the definition of our Dirac delta function. So our first property is proved, that is for x equals to 0 it takes the value infinity, and for x not equals to 0 it takes the value 0. Now we have to prove our second property, that is area under the curve is unity. So let's find the area under 2 epsilon over x square plus epsilon square. So area under this minus, so we have to integrate over minus infinity to plus infinity 2 epsilon x square plus epsilon square dx dx, and we this is a standard integration, so we know it is we know the integration of dx over x square plus a square, which is 1 over a tan inverse x by a. So let's take this factor 2 epsilon common or outside the integral, because it is a constant, and the remaining part will give you 1 over epsilon tan inverse x over epsilon, and within the limit from minus infinity to plus infinity. So you have 2 tan inverse. Now you have to put the upper limit, which is plus infinity, minus tan inverse lower limit, and we all know that for tan pi by 2, the value is undefined or infinity. So we have 2 pi by 2 plus, again tan inverse minus x is minus tan inverse x, so it becomes plus pi by 2, so which is 2 pi. Okay, so we can say that the area under 2 epsilon over x square plus epsilon square is independent of epsilon. So therefore area under this integral e to the power I k x dk is 2 pi. So we calculate the area under 2 epsilon over x square plus epsilon square, but we get this function from this integral, that is integration from minus infinity to plus infinity e to the power I k x dk. So that is, we start with this function integral. So area under this integral is 2 pi. So we can say that area under 1 over 2 pi minus infinity to plus infinity e to the power I k x dk is 1. So this is the thing that we begin with. So this one. So area under this function is 1. So we can say that this represents a Dirac delta function, and this is the exponential representation of the Dirac delta function. So now let's talk about orthogonal functions. Let's consider two functions, say f1k and f2k. Now the inner product of these two functions is defined as f1 f2 is equals to integration from minus infinity to plus infinity f1 star, that is complex conjugate of f1 k f2 k dk. Okay, now f1 and f2 will be orthogonal to each other if this inner product is equals to 0. So orthogonal condition is this inner product f1 f2 is equals to 0. Now for this exponential representation of the delta function, let's consider its two value for two different values of x. So let's consider f1 as e to the power plus ik x1 and f2 as e to the power ik x2. So their inner product will be f1 f2 is equals to minus infinity to plus infinity e to the power ik x1 e to the power plus ik x2 dk. Okay, and it will be minus infinity to plus infinity e to the power minus ik x1 minus x2 dk. Or you can represent it as a delta function, and you can write it as 2 pi times delta x1 minus x2. So this integral or this inner product of f1 and f2 will be 0 if x1 not equals to x2, and it will be infinity if x1 equals to x2. So you can say that the functions f1 and f2 will be orthogonal to each other for x1 not equals to x2. That is, you can represent this orthogonal property of two functions through this Dirac delta function. So this is what I am trying to tell you, that how to represent the orthogonal condition of two functions through Dirac delta function. So that's it for this video. In the next video we will see how to represent step functions through Dirac delta function and vice versa.